Did you fire Warmington, or you demanded his resignation, or what?
This
What
question
happened?
keeps coming up. In our Westminster system, you know, once the Prime Minister, whoever the Prime Minister is, says, come, let's talk, you know what the position is. Our protocol, our convention is that once you're called in, you say, Prime Minister, I offer. You don't wait until somebody says you're fired.
And under that convention, it's a firing, it's a dismissal on the
Look,
Westminster.
Everald is someone who has worked very hard in the party. Everald is known for his outlandish comments. I spoke with him. He's regretful. He sees the difficulty that it posed for the party. And in a deep discussion with him, he explained that
Today?
Yes, and yesterday as well, which was a result of his press release. He explained, what happened and what led him to it. But as a minister, I think he understood.
You had
that
had one too many from him.
As a minister,
Yeah.
you have to
You had lost
be
confidence.
very careful about your
lost
statements.
confidence in him,
As a
didn't you?
minister, he has to be very careful about his statement.
You had lost confidence in him, didn't you?
As a minister,
Yes.
I think as any minister, you
Yes.
have to be very careful about their statements.
Are you going to be retooling Belmont Road now?
Belmont Road, the retooling had started long before, but it definitely needs to be intensified. Yeah. So, me, I'm a very frank person. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Our supporters know, and the Jamaica Labour Party supporters are our greatest critics. If they don't feel comfortable, they are not going to vote in a fanatic way.
And they did not come out.
Precisely.
120,000 of
So
them.
they hold us to account, and
Yes.
they are sending us an early message to pull up our socks and
Yes.
get our show on the road.
Well, you work like a dog. You campaign
Could
like
you
a
say I
You
work
worked
like
hard.
I did.
Yeah? In Gale at 2 o'clock in the morning and end up losing it? That's hard.
It's hard.
Thank you,
But we
Prime
worked.
Minister. Thank you. You tried. Thank you very much. Andrew Holness. Good evening, Mr. Prime Minister.
Good evening, Cliff. Good evening to your listeners, and particularly your listeners here in Mandeville.
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good. I had an opportunity to go around the country to do what I like to do, which is to interact with the people. I got to see firsthand, really, some of the challenges. And it's always good to have this kind of interaction, particularly midterm, so that you have an opportunity to recalibrate policies where it is necessary. But you get an opportunity for people to vent.
Yeah.
Cliff, I'm going to write a book soon.
Oh,
I have to.
yes.
After, almost, 8 years of government and 27 years in politics. There's a lot of experiences that need to be placed in context because one sees the possibility of people repeating mistakes, meaning we haven't learned from history. And the long suffering of the Jamaican people creates a kind of what we call a kind of political culture that does not necessarily support our long-term development. Jamaica needs a long period of stable development. And because of grievance politics, because of people are frustrated with the current situation, and especially where they see growth happening in some areas, where they see some sections of the society benefiting from government policy, in the context of high rises going up and more cars being imported, and people are growing, businesses are growing, but then
And they're not feeling it.
But there is a set in the society, a demographic that is not necessarily seeing it happening for them, and there is this impatience. Will it happen for us? Will government policies last long enough to get to us? And I've seen several things like that. For example, I was in Raytown campaigning, and a young lady came up to me and she said, "Prime Minister, you can't increase the minimum wage." I said, but I just did. I increased 100%. It tells you that, yes, it's 100%, but the wages were very low to start with, and then the inflation.
Yes.
So there are real challenges, and
So tell me now.
we can't ignore those.
Having had that experience, being on the road, yes, you're about to craft a budget. You're running with a timetable now of no more than 15 months to the next general elections. You're in trouble politically, given the results on Monday. Yes? The opposition came out of those elections stronger. Yes? Are we likely to see a budget that reflects what you dubbed here this evening and before a caring economy?
So let's deal with a couple of things. The opposition thinks they're stronger. The opposition base came out. They still were not able to overcome our base, which did not come out fully.
You ended up with 285,000 votes. They came out with about 305,000.
But they still were not able to overturn the structure of the local government in terms of the number of seats won.
But again, they defeated you on the number of seats.
So
They're at 113.
No,
you're at
in
about
the terms of the number of
105.
councils, which is really the measure of
Yes.
the victory of the local government.
Yes.
So the issue is
You
that
underperformed.
nobody disputes that our base did not come out. That is clear. And there are many issues which could have contributed to that. As I've said, frustration, grievances, all kinds of issues. And those have to be properly analyzed. In any event, even if we didn't have a local government election going into a general election, we would have had to analyze what the current state of play is. You now have the best poll in the local government to tell you
Actual votes.
to tell you where you are and what you need to do. So in a way, it is a kind of blessing in disguise for us to have this, really good lay of the land established. So
It's
we
a
know.
wake-up call for you and your administration.
I think it is. We knew this was the situation.
Oh,
so
you knew.
we knew this was the situation. The issue now is how do we increase the pace of delivery? It's the government has done well. There's no question
True.
about that.
Yes.
The issue is the pace of delivery. How do we get it to the people who have not yet benefited in the society?
And that will speak to the capacity
That
of
right.
the public service to deliver.
So if you notice, we started the year with a mantra. I said, this year we have to focus on peace and productivity. I think we're making some ways towards peace. The productivity issue has not really been fully addressed. So the public sector has a very important role in the ability of the government to deliver. And so the wage issues are still a concern, but we still have to get to performance management if we're going to be able to increase the pace of delivery.
I noticed the budget this year has moved by 30% over last year, from just over 1 trillion to 1.3 trillion.
Well, that's the point I've been making, that we have an economy that is producing increased revenues. And I'm not saying that this is going to always be the case. We have to keep on managing the economy, which is why, look, I went out very hard for a local government election because we have been at this juncture in our history before where we had the economy turning around, and then because of frustration, fatigue, the electorate, the political
1989, February
you are the student
1989.
of politics.
Yes.
The electorate made a decision, and then we got in a lull for 18 years. And it's, if people were quarreling about water and roads, really reflected on it and say, how long have you had this problem? In 90% of the cases, it's long before this administration, long before the other administration and the other administration. It is now that we are in a position to be able to deliver, to be able to truly address the problem. We have never had a program like the Spark program. The other programs, say MID-P or JDIP, these are funds that we had to borrow. this is the first time we're able to take from our budget
Yeah.
and say we're going to deliver.